My name's Gina,
And I'm Janella.
and today we're going to be talking about our first president, George Washington. George Washington was an American politician and soldier who served as the first president of the United States from 1789 to 1797. George was born on February 22nd, 1732, in Westmoreland County, Virginia. Little is known about George's childhood, so many people decide to fill in the gaps with information such as him chopping down his father's cherry tree, which really never happened. His father, he died when George was 11, but luckily George's brother Lawrence took George under his wing. Anyways, when George was 16, he became a surveyor, but for the next few years, Washington conducted surveys in Virginia and present-day West Virginia and gained a lifetime interest in surveying.
In 1753, George began his military career, and the following year he led an army that wanted to challenge the French's control of the Ohio River Valley that faced defeat at Fort Necessity, Pennsylvania, which helped trigger the French and Indian War. George was the logical choice to lead the Continental Army in 1755, and he served as commander-in-chief of the army throughout the year.
When he was chosen to lead the Continental Army, it wasn't actually much of an army. Think of it as a cringy boy band that barely knows how to play the guitar and drums and forgets the lyrics halfway into the song. As the war dragged on, he learned guerrilla warfare tactics. But of course, the problems never went away. In 1781, the Continental Army went bankrupt.
A peace treaty was signed that ended the war in 1783. George thought he had done his job and went back to his family. By the way, George fell in love with his best friend's wife and later got married to her in 1758, so I guess you could say he's a Mr. Steel girl. However, he was called upon to come to the Constitutional Convention in 1787 to help draft the new Constitution. At first he refused, but then he eventually gave in. The first presidential election was held in 1789, and even though he didn't run for it, he was selected to be the first president of the United States. Since he was the first president, there were no previous presidents, so he worked hard to set examples for future presidents. George Washington proved to be an able administrator. He appointed Alexander Hamilton, the guy who was obsessed with making a national bank, as Secretary of the Treasurer, and Thomas Jefferson as Secretary of the State. He gave authority wisely and often checked with his cabinet members. Hamilton created a plan that made the U.S. the best credit risk. This is known as Hamilton's financial plan. In 1791, Washington signed a bill that placed a tax on distilled spirits. This caused an uproar of protest and pretty much turned into a full-on temper tantrum. And this so-called temper tantrum is known as the Whiskey Rebellion. Washington sent in troops that showed the federal government would use force when necessary to enforce law. In foreign affairs, Washington took a careful approach because he realized that basically our nation was too weak and could not fail to resist Europe's political intrigues, thus creating the Neutrality Proclamation that pretty much stated that it was a stupid idea to side with anyone. In his last few months of presidency, with the help of Hamilton, Washington created his farewell address, which urged people to avoid permanent foreign alliances.
I'm George Washington, the very first president, number one. One day after stepping down from presidency, I went back home to my wife and kids, and back to my farm, but the kids, they were definitely not mine. In a very cold winter day, I was expecting my farm while on a horseback, and it was heavily snowing. Came back home. For some reason, I ate supper and went to bed in my wet clothes. I guess you could give me the dumbest award. But long story short, I woke up the next day on December 14th, 1799, and I died. The Big Dummy Award goes to me.